Hello. Today I'm excited to work on resin fireworks. And these were done yesterday, my first attempts, and I thought they came out really cool, but I wanted to make some changes. For example, in this one, there's just not enough color for me, so I want to try today with more color. Same with this one, just want some more color. I loved how this one came out, but want to try to make a bigger one. And then this is the one I did yesterday that I absolutely adored, but I want to see if I can try to do it again and show you guys at the same time how to do it. All right, let's get started. So first I have my resin, and it's warmed up to about 38, probably 39 degrees now. And I'm going to pour it into my molds. With blooms, we don't like the first layer to be too heavy, but with these, it's okay if it's a little bit heavier, if it's a little bit fuller. So I'm going to start pouring into my molds. And I rarely do just one mold, so I'm also doing for fun a holographic mold. And with this mold, I actually painted the edges with chameleon powder. This one's from Resin, and it's grape, and it just has a cool little coloring to it. So I figured I would do that too while I'm here making these things. Oh, sorry, I forgot to get my little wipeout, so I'm gonna do that now so I can clean up any messes I make while I go along. All right, so didn't quite fill this mold, so I'm going to give it a little bit more, and I'm not too worried about putting a little too much. Usually I let it walk to the edges itself. This time I'm just pouring it in and letting it go to the edges. All right, and then I need a little bit for this mold. And now I need a little bit for my white, and I'm pouring about 1 ounce of white in this cup. Oops, poured a little too much. And this is just eyeballing it. Maybe pour a little bit extra because I might play after I'm done with the extra resin that I poured, because I obviously poured too much resin. Let's do a little bit more in here to get the edges. All right, so I've filled both of my molds. And now I'm going to make my white, and I'm using Bloom by Julie Cuts. I got this off of Amazon. They're currently sold out right now, so it's getting low in my bottle, so I had it setting upside down. Usually it's about 1 drop per ounce, and I'm going to do 2 drops because I think I ended up with almost 2 ounces in my cup. I hope to get some more of that soon. I might have to order it from eBay. Now I'm just gonna mix it up. Now I let my resin warm up to a higher temperature because you want the resin to be thick. I'm using JDiction, which is I use it probably the majority of the things I make, because it's just a great resin. This one that I'm using is a higher viscosity. It's not the low viscosity one, and it's a high gloss. Very easy to use, low bubbles. It's great for making things like blooms. All right, here's what it looks like. And now I like to add shimmer, so I'm gonna do that now. And it's just a little bit of basically a gold interference powder. And then it's just a tiny bit. That amount may not even show up, but it makes me feel better if I add a little glitter. I give it a stir. Now, as I mentioned yesterday when I did some of those, I didn't like that the colors weren't bright and bold. So I pulled some brighter colors for today. So I've got Ranger Inks, which I love, Amethyst, Raspberry, Stream, and Peach Bellini. And I'm just going to fill the mold with all sorts of colors because I see that I need more colors. I think I'm going to take my purple in the center Give it a little shake. And drop a couple drops. And I think I'm gonna do the raspberry. I love this raspberry pink color. It's very pretty. Next, I think I'm gonna do the peach Bellini, which is like an orangish color. And let's see, we have the stream left to do. And I am trying to load up the color. Well, I think that's good enough. The other thing, because I've let my resin thicken a bunch and I'm using alcohol inks that have a higher ink content versus a cheaper alcohol ink that has a higher alcohol content, they sometimes don't spread as well in the higher viscosity resins. So I'm gonna go through with, actually I'm gonna use the end of my paintbrush that I use for everything and just try to swirl some color through. We know this is not going to be the design because resin does its own little thing as it moves and cures. So there we go, now we got it everywhere. And trying to decide whether I want more color. I'm so worried about color since I didn't get a lot of color in yesterday's. But I actually think this might be okay. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, in order to get the dots, you have to pipe. So I'm gonna pour my white into a piping bag. I don't know if I have this on camera so you could see me doing this, but if you just wait a second, I'll show you what I got going on here. So, cup, piping bag, and the cup is just so the piping bag stands up so you can easily get the white in there. Now with what we're going to be doing, I'm going to want a very small tip. So first you swirl it to make sure the white stays in the bag. You're just closing it off, closing the seal. And then I'm going to take my scissors and I want to do this really small. So I'm going to take just the tip of it off. Oh, I need to do a little bit more. All right, so I don't know how well you can see that, but I just took the tip off. And then the way that you make this design is just a bunch of little dots. And when you make the dots, you don't want the second row to line up exactly with the first row. You want to do it in between. So let me go ahead and just get started. And of course you could speed up this video because this is a long process of just dot, 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 dot. Okay, we're back to do the backing. This one looks like it's doing pretty good. I can see that the dots moved. However, my little play around one, I'm pretty sure didn't work. You can see that there's still just dots. So I may play around with this one further, so I may not back this one yet. I may add another row of dots and just see how it works out. But we are going to back this one. One of the biggest problems that I have is, well, what color to back it with. Sometimes you go too dark, you can't see the lines. Sometimes you go too light, you can't see the lines. And sometimes the combination is just ugly. Gonna be honest, this is where I fall apart most of the time. But I went ahead and decided I'm gonna use chameleon powder. I'm gonna use the Plum by Let's Resin, but I am going to also add black paste to make it really dark. And we'll see how it works out. So I have my resin, and then I'm gonna add a good scoop of this. Maybe just a little bit more because I've already made a mess all over my hand. See, this is not a blooper reel. This is how messy I am in real life. And I'm just gonna, got my Pampers wipe though, I can clean that up quickly. All right, so I've got that in there. Now I'm gonna wanna give it a mix and see what it looks like. And I did know that this was going to be too light, but I love the chameleon powder effect. I'll lose a little bit of that effect when I add the black paste though. Just always happens, but we'll take a look and see what it looks like after we add the black paste. Black paste, never want to put too much in, and it's very, very easy to do. I just bought a cheap paste off Amazon, and that's what I use. I pull my stick out. That way, if I drop too much, I can just run away with the stick and not use it. But there it goes. And I'm going to add just a little drop to begin with, and we'll see what that looks like. And give it a stir. I've learned not to add too much from the beginning, because then there will be nothing that you can do about it, and you see how fast it darkens up by just that tiny amount. Now let's take a look. It is pretty dark, considering how it will look. I'm just debating whether I should add another drop or roll with this. And I think I'm actually going to just go with it. It does look like it's kind of gray, but it's not. It's gonna look like what the cup looks like. In this mold, the flower petals are kind of low. So sometimes I end up pouring too much in, so I'm gonna let it go slowly to the edges. I don't want to add too much to my mold. I'll add more if I need to, but I don't think that I will need to. All right, well, now I'm gonna play with this mold, and I will see you back when this cures. Okay, we're back to check this out and see how it came out. Here's my dud one, and I mentioned that I could see that the dots didn't spread, and I think it's because the first layer of resin was too thick, so they just dropped right to the bottom. All right, let's see how this one came out. Oh yeah, look at that one. That came out really cool, right? All right, well, I hope yours come out awesome.